Alright guys, this video is about hiking Cactus to Clouds. So if you guys are watching this video, you probably know what Cactus to Clouds is. It's a 22-mile, almost 11,000 feet of elevation gain. It starts in Palm Springs, which is near sea level, climbs to San Jacinto, which is 10,800 feet roughly, and then you go back down to the tram station and take the tram down. Now, some people do what's called Cactus to Clouds to Cactus Sea to Sea to Sea, which is they go all the way up and then go all the way back down. That I've never done. That seems crazy. This part down from the tram station back down, going down it would be just kind of painful. So, anyways, quick overview before we start the video. The hike starts next to the Palm Springs Art Museum. There is a large parking structure here, and it says free parking. It on the weekends there are like basically no cars in this parking lot, and I have made the mistake of parking in this parking lot. It says free parking. It is free parking. It says 4 hour limit. Now, I thought on the weekends, because there's no cars there, they wouldn't care about that. But they did give me a ticket. I had to pay like 80 bucks. I forget. It was some ridiculous amount of money. There's like 500 parking spots in here. There was like 3 cars on the weekend, but they still gave me a ticket. So don't park there. You can park anywhere along this road, and then you'll be fine. Don't park in this parking lot because that's the Palm Springs Art Museum parking lot. You can park. You can't park here because no one's gonna do C to C to Cactus to Clouds in under 4 hours. Um, and But you can park here. Okay, so then it starts here, right behind the parking lot. Then it climbs up this trail. Now you're going to be doing this in the dark with headlights. There's multiple false trails. They diverge and they converge. They come back together. Some of them go off. So just make sure you go with someone that's been there before, or you have a good map, because it's very easy to go off this trail. Like you can go off of this little spur, and it's very easy to go off of these trails, and you don't want to do that. But there are many trails that kind of converge and that means diverge and converge, and so don't worry about those so much. Then what you want to do is you want to time this thing so that you climb high enough that by sunrise you're high enough off the floor that it's not so hot. When we did it, it was perfect weather, could not be better. But we started, and then we got to about here for sunrise. So we made it to about 3,200 feet, and this is a nice place. Everyone stops here because this is usually an area that has a nice view of Palm Springs. You round this corner, and then you keep climbing up, and then it levels off a bit, and then you get these nice views of a Cactus Canyon, and then around here, let's see. Okay, so you make it to here. This is called the Traverse. And this is the area that if you wait until the first snowfall or try to do it in the winter or in the spring before the snow is all melted, this area has a lot of snow because it's kind of on the northeastern face, and it's pretty steep here. And if you slip, you'll most likely get seriously injured or die here. So I wouldn't recommend it unless you know you have crampons, ice axes, no self arrest, and are familiar with that kind of stuff. So don't try this when there's snow here. That's kind of dangerous. Then, gotta warn you, this spot after the traverse is a killer. It is so steep. You're very tired at this point. It's over 1,000 feet per mile uh, climbing. I think it's almost like 1,500 feet per mile of climbing. It's very steep. So this will be very slow for you and for everyone. And then this is the tram station here. Here it levels off completely. This first mile is like basically flat. Then it's a slow, gradual climb to Wellman's Divide, which is right here. And then this right here is the longest traverse in the world. It just goes on forever, and then there's this last traverse, and then there's a saddle here, and then the hut is right here, and then you scramble up, and then you come back down. Okay, so let's get started with the video. Okay, so we started, here we are, it's about I think about 4:50 in the morning when we started. We planned on starting at 5 a.m., but we ended up getting there a little earlier. So we started at 4:50 a.m., going a little bit up the way you can see Palm Springs. And it's a little lighter than this. The camera doesn't pick it up very well, but you can see pretty well with your headlights. But again, you're going to get lost. You're going to go off trail a little bit, so have a good GPS and a map with you. It's really nice to see the city lit up at night. It's quiet. A lot of people start this at 2 a.m. and if you're a little bit of a slower hiker, yeah, it's better to start early than to start late. If you think you can move pretty fast, you could start a little later. We're planning on going at about 3 miles an hour, which is a pretty good clip up this pathway. So we started at 5 a.m. thinking that we would be able to make it about 3 miles before sunrise, 3 miles or so before sunrise. And so you have to plan for that. So here's another. Now we're a little bit higher up on the trail. We're probably at like 2,000 feet at this point. Yeah, and so the pictures pick it up a lot better. You can see the sun rise about to start happening. You can see the glow in the sunset. It's really nice. I would take some time to enjoy the view as you go up, and we're still climbing. Here we are, very close to sunrise now. It's about I think like 6:20 at this point. No, it's about 5:52 at this point. And we had a full moon, but it wasn't enough light to really see. All right, here we are about 6:05. It's sun hasn't quite come up, but it's bright enough that you can start seeing without your headlights now. And then 6:10, about 4 minutes later, sun is about to come up. It's definitely bright enough to see well. This is the terrain you've been hiking up this whole time. Bunch of rocks, some cactuses. There's the full moon in the background. This is that stopping point that I told you guys about at the beginning, where you round the turn, you get a good view of Palm Springs. All right, so we're just climbing. All right. Sun is just about to come up, but we've definitely turned off our headlights at this point, and you definitely don't need any external light at this point. I think that was the first rescue box we passed. Sun is coming up. It's gorgeous. Some cholla cactus there. All right, we're about 2 hours into this thing. About 5 miles into it, we start seeing some manzanitas, and we're seeing some shrubbery rather than just the cactus. There's a couple of points that are slightly downhill if you want to jog them a little bit. That's worth doing. It kind of gives you gives different muscles a workout. So, there's a sign here that says Palm Springs 5 miles. I have no idea which trail that leads to. Here's a view down the canyon, a view up towards the Long Valley. It's a view south. You can see the Santa Rosa Mountains in the background. There's a nice rock face here too. Same rock face. And then down Cactus Canyon. And this is looking right. And to right, that's the canyon where the tramway goes up. So now we're doing the climb, slow climb up through the Manzanitas. There's a long kind of gradual climb along a ridge line, basically. And the Cactus Canyon's to the left of you as you do this climb, and the canyon that the tramway is in is to the right of you. We're at about 5,000 feet now. We're starting to see some pine trees. Around 5,300, 5,400 feet, you'll start seeing the first pine trees. I'm playing around with a little hyperlapse on my phone as we continue to do this climb. I think we're probably about 6 miles into it at this point. And you can see up ahead the ridge that's the start of Long Valley. And you can see kind of, I think you can see a hint of Grubbs Notch to the right. Just a view down into the desert. And we're about 6,000 feet into it, maybe 6,500. And now you can see, big pine trees, and the landscape has totally changed from a desert landscape to more of a mountain landscape. Although you can easily see the desert down below you. So continue to climb up the ridge. We're almost to the traverse at this point. The traverse is at around 7,000 feet or so. Yeah, so it just switchbacks up this ridge as we get to the traverse. So this area is a continuous climb. Here, the first view of the tram, you can see the tram in there. And big pine trees. Okay, now we're at the traverse. And you can see it's pretty steep. If this was covered with snow and you slipped down this thing, you would slip a long ways until you hit a tree or a rock. It probably wouldn't end well for you. So, yeah, again, like we said at the beginning of the video, unless you have mountaineering equipment, crampons, ice axe, no self-arrest, and just know how to read the snow, I would not recommend doing this when there's snow at the traverse. I know people have gotten away with it, and people definitely do it with micro spikes and other things. And most people can get away with it, but you just need to make one mistake for it to be fatal. It's just like you can go drunk driving. Lots of drunk drivers don't get into accidents, but you're more likely to have problems. So unless you have experience, I would just recommend against doing it when there's snow at the traverse. And snow at the traverse usually happens in November. We did this November 20th, 2021, and it was an unusually warm year, and there had not been a first snowfall yet. It was actually perfect weather. It was like 80 degrees in the desert floor, and we timed it perfectly, and it was like 50 degrees the whole time up because we gained altitude as the sun got higher and higher, so it stayed a nice cool temperature, and we got good sun, so it was very comfortable in just shorts and a t-shirt the whole time. All right, here's our first shot of that was first shot of Grubbs Notch, and now that starts the crazy ascent. It is very, very steep here. You climb basically 1,000 feet of elevation in less than a mile, maybe half a mile. So it is ridiculously steep. We went very slow. I mean, probably got down to 1 mile per hour speed. And finally made it to the top. And here is a view of Long Valley. It's, you can see it's very flat. This is where the tramway drops you off. Now you can go straight and continue the climb, but we chose to go to the tram station, use the bathroom, get some lunch, eat food, and take a break. That kind of hurts you a little bit because there's to get up to the tramway is a bit of a climb. It's like 200-300 feet of climbing. All right, so now we're done with lunch. Use the facilities, and this is the very flat path out of Long Valley. Now it's the slow climb to Wellman's Divide, and this continues on for a while. Yeah, so you'll continue this climb, and then you'll go to through Round Valley Campground. There's some porta potties there. Sometimes there's water at the campground. I didn't look very carefully this time to see if there was water. I assumed there was. There's definitely outhouses there if you want to use them. But this climb isn't very bad. It's maybe 500-600. Oh yeah, and we ran into some mule deer. It was very nice. They came very close to us. They walked within maybe 20 feet of us and then took off. So that was kind of an unexpected bonus. Here we are. We're almost to Wellman's Divide. Here it is. There's a nice overlook here, and you can take some nice pictures at that overlook. Now this is the start of the extremely long traverse. It's probably like, I don't know, mile and a half. It seems to go on forever because you kind of see the same scenery, and it is beautiful. It's nice scenery. It's a view down towards Long Valley. But yeah, you're just walking through this pine forest, and it just, you want it to end because you're so close to the peak, and you just want to get to the peak at this point. You're very tired. And the traverse is kind of broken up into two areas. There is a first traverse, and then you get to this kind of rocky area, rocky sandy area, and then it starts another traverse in the same direction. So here's kind of the second traverse, I think. Looks pretty much the same. And a view down, there's the Santa Rosa Mountains in the background. Round Valley Campground down there somewhere in the trees. And here's the final, there's the turn. Just made the turn for this last traverse where we cut back kind of more south. And then we get to the saddle here. This saddle brings you to the area. If you go through Little Round Valley, that takes you down towards Idlewild, and that's the way that Marion Mountain Trail, as well as Deer Spring Trail, you can come up that way. Then you come up and go to the hut. There's a really cool hut here. I don't know if you need reservations, but you can actually sleep here, I think. I've never done that, but you can sleep in this hut. There's 4 bunks in here. Looks like one of the bunks was being used, so someone stayed the night before, I think. And there's a guest book. That lady in there was signing the guest book. Some people have been decorating it. It's Jeff and I in front of there. Then this last part, there's no trail actually. You just pick your way through the rocks and just scramble up to the top. There's usually plenty of people. As long as you're going up, you're gonna make it to the peak. And here we are, made it to the peak. And it's a beautiful day. It's a weekend, so there were 1 million people up there. But everyone was very friendly and nice and took turns with the sign. And you can see the Angeles Mountain Range here, and then there is the mountain range between us and Orange County, the Santa Rosa Mountains here, and then the desert floor looking towards Joshua Tree. There's Jeff found a nice rock. And looking back, desert floor again, Santa Rosa Mountains, the Salton Sea back there. There's the mountain range towards Orange County. I forget the name of that mountain range. Angeles Mountains there. Then Baldy there, and then San Gorgonio right there at the top, between the tree top there. That was San Gorgonio. There's a picture of Jeff sitting on the rock. And then this is that rocky, sandy area between the 2 traverses. So filmed that because it looked kind of cool on the way back. And that's it. So hope you enjoyed it. Thanks.